I actually detest making this video every year because it's a bleak reminder of how quick life is flashing before our eyes. I'm another year older, and here we are talking about the player of the year again. Aye. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel, and as I have just mentioned in cheery fashion, it is that time of year. Awards season begins, and Celtic have announced their nominees for all the male and female end of season awards, which we're going to sit down and discuss today. Bear with me, we'll probably be here a wee while, but on a generally quiet day for Celtic news, we have something really positive to talk about as we reflect on what has been a magnificent season. You know what to do by now. Hit like, hit subscribe. We are around 30 subscribers away from 49,000. Who will be the big 49,000th subscriber? Who knows? But go down below, hit both those buttons. It's absolutely free. Let's get into today's video, shall we? Once again, we're going to go through all the categories for the end of season awards, and we're going to see who stands out on top. Even though I think we all know who the significant winner of this year's award ceremony is going to be. It's been a fantastic season at Celtic. We are on track for another treble following our League Cup success. The fact that we can secure the league title with one more point in the remaining 5 games. We had a really cracking run in Europe this year, potentially our best European run in over a decade at the club. I will end this season a very happy chappy, to say the least, and it gives me a lot of motivation and a lot of encouragement about next year. There has been pessimism in recent weeks surrounding some, let's just say, stale performances, but I think that Celtic showed at the weekend there that we still have a very, very good team, a team that shouldn't be slept on, and something to be really optimistic about going into next year. A lot of question marks over how the summer recruitment will go, how Brendan Rodgers will pledge his future to the club. Will it be another big contract, or will we have to be waiting and see what happens with that? But nonetheless, just so much to be happy about, and I think this year's awards ceremony will kind of capture all of that, because we've had such a good season. Players have been hitting all the right high notes. We're in a good place. So without any delay, let's go through them. We're going to start with the Young Player of the Year. So there is 4 nominees for the Young Player of the Year award, and I think more than anything, this category for me really just drills through how more experienced this Celtic side is at the moment. I feel like in years gone by, we've had so many young players to talk about, whereas now you look at this list of 4 players here, and only one of the 4 is someone who has featured on a regular basis week in, week out this season, and that being Arne Engels. The other 3, Paulo Bernardo's been out half the season with injury, Yang has taken a while to break through and show us what he's got, and Adamida has been in and out the team, mostly coming off the bench. So it really puts into perspective how little youth there is in our side at the minute, and Celtic maybe having a bit more reliance on players who have more experience to their name. Which is completely fine. I don't mind. Whatever gets the job done, whatever wins you games, I couldn't care about the ages of players. But that was the first thing that I took from this today when I seen the list, because 4 players, and I think a pretty easy decision. I know people are going to disagree with me, but my vote goes to, congratulations, Arne Engels. That's right, I'm giving my vote to Arne Engels this year. I think that he deserves to win it out of these 4 players, and I'm not going to let recent games change my opinion of that. I know for a lot of people he's not delivered on the £11 million price tag. For some people they think he needs to bring out a lot more in his game, and I would agree with that. I do think there is a lot more he can do, and he's only in the early stages of his Celtic career. But that's the thing that I think we've got to remember, that Arne Engels is still in the early stages of his Celtic career, and writing somebody off after one season is just a stupid thing to do, especially when we've seen more than enough glimpses of greatness from this young lad. I think a lot of people forget how young Arne Engels actually is, and they expect him to be the final product just because of the price tag on his head. And a lot of people also forget how late his transfer actually came about. He was thrown into the deep end very quickly, had no chance to get a pre-season under his belt with the club, and had to acclimatise very, very quickly. And he done that. You know, he played against Rangers in one of his first couple games, if not his first game, if I remember rightly. And he looked fine, he looked good. And he's had to just keep going with that ever since. He's not really had any respite. He's been on international duty with Belgium, for goodness sake. He's had such a busy year. And I feel like he's handled it really, really well. More often than not, he's put in a solid performance. I know there's been some games where he's been lacklustre, and I'm open to hearing that criticism. But I think to take away all of the credit he deserves over a few dodgy games is really unfair. And it always comes back to the point I tried to drill through for years. The day that Celtic spent big money on a player, which they finally did with Arne Engels, he was close to a record signing in Scotland and Celtic's record signing in general, the scrutiny was always going to be much, much higher. If this was a £2 or £3 million player, he wouldn't be facing the criticism that he does. The price tag does that. And over the course of the 4 or 5 year deal that he signed with Celtic, I know for a fact we're going to be delivered on that £11 million price tag. This is a young lad with a bright, bright future. And I think for me, he's easily Young Player of the Year. I don't even think it's much of a competition. All these other lads have been great. I love all of them. But for me, it's simple. And I'll say why. I'll give you my reasoning as to why. Ada hasn't been consistent enough. Has done a lot of his work off the bench, so he's not had the minutes to justify winning the award, I don't think. I would have loved it to be the big man, but I just don't think he's done enough for his role to warrant winning it over Arne Engels. Paulo Bernardo, brilliant, great start to the season, but he's been out. He's been out injured for the last 3-4 months, so I don't think it can be Paulo Bernardo. And finally, Yang, someone who has grown on me a hell of a lot, grown on all of us a hell of a lot, and been really good. But I'm not going to let a few good performances in February and March say that it deserves the Young Player of the Year award. I think that you have to look at the course of the full season, and Arne Engels for me out of these 4 lads has been the best over the course of a full season. So yeah, I'm giving the award to him. This is a no-brainer for me after watching all 10 candidates. Saoirse Noonan has to be. Brilliant technique, unbelievable, fantastic. Is the keeper a wee bit far off her line? Probably, but I thought that was a bit of an occurring theme with half of these goals. I thought that the keepers were mile off their lines for some of them, but the finish is fantastic. Got to be the winner for me. My vote goes to Saoirse Noonan. Which brings us nicely into the Women's Player of the Year award, which I will kick off the category by saying, in issue of all fairness, that I don't watch the women's team every single week. I don't get to watch the women's team as much as I would like to. And that's not because I don't like women's football or I don't rate women's football, because I know some people are keen to make that argument, but it would be unfair of me to say that I watch it every week. So my opinion can only be taken with a pinch of salt. I only get to catch the odd game here or there. Ultimately, it all comes down to the fact that I can't be bothered watching that much football in a week or talking about that much football in a week. It gets a bit tiresome. So, I only have a bit of knowledge to share on this one, so you might want to skip to the next category. The 4 players who have been nominated are Emma Lawton, Saoirse Noonan, who we just spoke about, of course, Shannon McGregor and Celia Barclays. Those are the 4 nominees this year across all areas of the park. However, and call it a cheat code if you like, I am going to give my vote once again to Saoirse Noonan. Congratulations, Saoirse, who has my vote. I think she scored something like 23, 24 goals this season across all competitions. She has been clinical in front of goal, and I mean, if you've watched the video of the goal of the season nominees, you will see the one that I have given the award for. Tremendous technique, ridiculous finisher. So, there you go. There's my vote. Congratulations to Saoirse again. That leads us on to the 2 big categories then. We have Goal of the Season and Player of the Year to discuss. We'll start with Goal of the Season because I know this one will be subject to a lot of opinion and discussion. We have, once again, 10 nominees on screen to talk about. Now, I can't show you them due to copyright reasons, but I will go through all 10 and give a brief rundown of where the goal came from. Callum McGregor is first up with one of his long-range efforts against Hibs on the 11th of August 2024. We then have another one of his long-range efforts, which came against Rangers on the 1st of September 2024. So 2 nominations for Callum McGregor straight off the back. Adam Ida in September against St Johnstone. We then got a Champions League nominee as Nicholas Kuhn's goal against RB Leipzig finds itself nominated. We're on to a double Dyson Maeda nomination with goals against Rangers in December. Of course, the League Cup final, magnificent. Goal number 6, Celtic against Dundee. Dyson Maeda once again in February. Goal number 7, Adam Ida's goal against Dundee United on the 15th of February 2025. Dyson Maeda once again with his 3rd nomination of the category for his goal against St Mirren on the 1st of March. Goal number 9, Rio Hatate against Kilmarnock on the 12th of April. And finally, Cameron Carter-Vickers, the same game this past weekend for his goal against Kilmarnock as well. So there are your 10 nominees. I am going to go and quickly remind myself of every goal, and once I'm back, I will have my decision.
2 hours later.
I've watched all 10, and I genuinely don't know if I can decide. All of these goals are magic. For one reason or another, all of these 10 goals are magic. Like, you can go through all 10 of them and give a reason why it should win. For example, McGregor scoring a goal like that against the rivals, the power, the technique, the distance of the strike itself. The Adam Ida goal at St Johnstone, it's some of the best football, or should I say brodgeball, you're ever going to see. It's world-class football, and leading up to the goal, Nicholas Kuhn, the technique on that is ridiculous. Maeda in a cup final to do what he done. Even Big Vickers with a strike this past weekend for a centre-half to smack the ball like that. Every single one of these goals has a reason to be up here and to be voted, and I think that this is one that will probably have the most divisive opinions, because people will pick certain goals for one reason or another. On that note, and perhaps controversial to some, I've got to go with Nicholas Kuhn. I've got to go with Nicholas Kuhn against Leipzig. In the Champions League, to be scoring a goal like that, it is an absolute beauty, and you forget how beautiful the curl on the ball is, the way that it goes in, clips the post, and then hits the back. It's just sensational, unbelievable. And I remember being there in my seat up in 4-1-2, watching the ball curve, thinking that it was going well wide, and then it just clips the... Oh, it's beautiful. It's just sensational. Nicholas Kuhn gets my vote, I'm afraid. On that note, I want to give a massive shout out to Dyson Maeda for the cup final goal, because that would be my close second pick. Which brings us on to the final category, which is the big one, the one that we all care about the most, and one that we, at the end of the day, know who the winner is, and that is the Men's Player of the Year award. Now, interestingly, I wanted to bring up this video that I done a little over a month ago, where I ranked every single Celtic player in the men's senior team and their chances from least to most likely of winning Player of the Season. So I went through everybody in this team, basically, from Mike Nawrowski to Dyson Maeda. I think there was something like 22 different candidates. We included Scott Bain, we included Nawrowski, Ralston, and we went through it, and I'd done them from, of course, least to most likely. I want to see, out of interest, how many of the top 7 I've got correct, because Celtic have nominated 7 players. I got 6 out of 7. 6 out of 7. I was so close to getting all correct, but I had Arne Engels in at the time over Rio Hatate. So that's the only difference between what I said just over a month ago would be the top 7 to the top 7 that we've actually been suggested, which is Kasper Schmeichel, Alistair Johnston, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Callum McGregor, Rio Hatate, Nicholas Kuhn, and Dyson Maeda. And for the sake of saving us another 10 minutes in this video, let me just cut to the chase. We all know it's Dyson Maeda. This is arguably the easiest Player of the Year award vote we've had ever following Celtic, since they allowed us to vote via Celtic.com, because Dyson Maeda has just been heads and shoulders above every single player in this squad. He has been unbelievable and took his game to a level of football that I don't quite know if I've seen. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that. Like, this is a kind of season that would be up in par with some Celtic greats. And it's not even done yet. You know, we have potentially another 7 games to go. And Dyson Maeda could be hitting numbers that we haven't seen since Henrik Larsson was at the club. That cannot be downplayed. That has to be appreciated for every single game we watch him. Dyson Maeda is easily Celtic's Player of the Year, and I don't even think there's a close second. It's nuts because the way that Nicholas Kuhn started the season, I thought he would have been well on track for being Player of the Year. And don't get me wrong, in terms of the season's full span, we have seen Nicholas Kuhn deliver a very probably second place performance in this award. Callum McGregor has been great throughout the entirety of the campaign. Kasper Schmeichel has came in his first season and been unbelievable. All of these players are deserving of a shout and deserving to be acknowledged for how great their seasons have been. But no one has been as consistent, nobody has been as positive, and just nobody has been as good as Dyson Maeda has been this year. It's as simple as that. So let me know your picks for all these categories in the comments below, and we'll compare in our comments section who wins the joint Ryan 118 Player of the Year awards. That'll be interesting. Yep, go down below, do that, hit like, hit subscribe. We'll be back tomorrow with the Celtic the Thunder ahead of the Scottish Cup semi-final. So until then, take care of yourself, and I'll see you all next time.